guys, good morning. So today our video is going to be about the National Assembly. So we've talked about them once before, but we're going to talk about a specific meeting that they had. So during a meeting of the General Assembly of France, so remember, each estate gets one vote, and the first and second estates usually work as a team to outvote the third estate. We talked about that last week, but I want to make sure you remember. So on June 17th, 1789, the third estate said that they wanted to start their own government because they felt like the first estate and the second estate weren't listening to them, and the king didn't care about them, and they felt like they never got any representation. And so they wanted to start their own government because they felt like the government wasn't fair. So this caused all three of the estates to start fighting. They're arguing about it because one of the estates just suggested they start a whole new government. The other two weren't very happy about that. So Louis XIV steps in. So the king had the entire third estate locked out of the meeting hall so that he could calm everyone down. Because the third estate were the people who were being really loud, and they were arguing with people, and they were shouting at people. And so the king said, you know what, if you can't be nice, go outside, go outside. And he was trying to calm the other two estates down. Since they were locked out of the meeting, the third estate decided to have their own meeting. And so they met nearby on a tennis court. That's why we call the agreement they came to the tennis court oath. So at this meeting, the people decided they wanted a new revolutionary government. So they wanted one that was completely different than any government they'd ever had before. They made this decision on June 20th, 1789. So there are three things that happen because of the tennis court oath. So 3 results. We're not going to talk about all 3 of them today because that would be a lot to do in one video, but we are going to talk about one of them. So they're the storming of the Bastille, the Great Fear, and something called the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizenship. So for today, we're going to be talking about the storming of the Bastille. So the king was building an army, and the people heard about this, and it made them nervous. Because if you were building an army but didn't plan to go to war, there would be no point in your army. One of the king's advisors, so people who help him make decisions, was telling him to lower taxes to help the people and make them happy. Instead of listening to him, the king had him fired and told him no. The people heard about both of these things and got so angry that they started to riot. So they invaded the Bastille, which is an armory, and took weapons and destroyed the building. So an armory is a place where the government keeps weapons and different supplies for the military. So that's why they went to the Bastille. The Bastille was also sometimes used as a prison. So it was to keep people who the king was angry with. So the people who lived in the city were destroying this building and taking things from this building. And the people in the country, or out in the middle of nowhere, decided that they wanted to riot too. And so what they did is they burned the homes of rich people. So do you remember when we talked about feudalism? And we talked about how the rich were in charge of the poor, and they told them what to do, and they made them give them part of their food, and they made them give them part of the things that they made, and they made them fight in armies. Those are these people, all right? So in case you don't know what the word riot means, a riot is a violent public disturbance. So it's whenever people are burning things, destroying things, having fights in the street. They're being loud, they're being mean. It's like a protest, but a mean protest. So the response to the storming of the Bastille. So what happened because of it? The Estates General voted to abolish feudalism. So we just talked about feudalism to help you remember. So feudalism is the system where people worked for no pay for a lord. So they got rid of feudalism. They said there's no more of that. You don't work for the people who own the land you live on anymore. You're free. And so because of this, all men became equal in the eyes of the law because of the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizenship. So that's a document they're going to make, and we're going to talk about that next week because it's really big and it's kind of confusing if you do it too quickly. So one last word I want you to know is the word abolish. Abolish means to get rid of something. Right? So these are the things I want you to understand about this before next week when we start talking more about France and the new government they're trying to make. All right? So for today, send me a picture of your notes as your homework, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.